Well, it is another fantastic day here at Fun King Garage, and in this episode, I'm continuing working on the FE390. Now, if you've watched the spoilers from the last episode, some of what happens in this episode will make a lot of sense, and then there's going to be a big shift in the next episode. But for now, enjoy the journey. Oh, and thanks to all those who commented on the last episode. I love knowing that there's FE people out there that are watching the stuff, people who are knowledgeable on the FEs. So let's get to it. I'm getting ready to torque the cam bolt, and specs call for 40 to 42. Or sorry, 40 to 45. So I'm going 42 and a half. Just like that. So I ended up taking that bolt back off because the pin that goes in here just barely engaged with the eccentric for the fuel pump. I've seen other people run into this same issue. 1 75 1/28. So I'm going to build a spacer for back behind the pin. I could get a longer pin or figure something else out, but looks like I need about 1/8 of an inch. So I'm going to find some material to put back there and take up that gap. Alright, so what I did was, if it'll focus, maybe, I just cut a little piece out of a grade 8 bolt. I'm going to dip the pin in some grease. So I got a little red and sticky on there. And now we'll see if that's too long. I'll have to find a magnet to get it back out of there. But yeah, that looks way too long. Yeah, my other issue that I have is that washer that's underneath there is like just over the top. I'm gonna have to find a thick grade 8 washer to put on there. So let me get that adjusted and then we'll retorque that. Alright, so I got the piece made for back behind that pin. The pin is now flush. I was able to get the washer on there well, and I have retorqued it to 42.5 pounds. Oh, I added some blue Loctite. That's going to be red, you know, to screw the next guy, but I might be the next guy. I just wanted to kind of show you much better as far as the chain tensioning goes. I don't know even how to explain it, but I was about a tooth off. So I had the mark of the crankshaft straight up, and instead of pointing to here, it was like here. And I don't know if it's just because this isn't even really a sprocket. But again, look how freaking sharp that is. Oh, I should tell you too. So, if I go through a day without learning something, I feel like my day isn't complete. So I like to learn stuff. I don't always like the way people teach me things, but I like to learn stuff. So I had posted into the Hot Rod Power Tour group on Facebook. Okay, I'm getting older. Sometimes I don't remember that I filmed something. So I already told you this story in the last episode. Now, there is definitely some wear. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. Hopefully that will focus. There is some really bad wear on those teeth, and it just so happens to look just like the inside of the chain. But this is the one that absolutely floors me. I cannot tell you enough how sharp that is. And I don't know, it's aluminum or magnesium, or I'm not a metallurgist. It's not steel, that's for sure. And then apparently this is what had the nylon on it. So see, I learned something, and I hope that you just did too. Anyway, I'm replacing the valve stem seals. I don't know why. I mean, they're two-piece, right? These are hard as like, they're plastic. They're not even rubber anymore. So I got rope up in the cylinder through the spark plug hole. I've cranked it around. I've compressed the rope to hold the valves. You might be asking yourself, why be this far into the engine and not just pop the heads off? Well, I have learned from Brent Likens that if I change out the head gasket from this metal gasket to an aftermarket one, I'm going to gain about 20 thousandths of an inch, which is going to change my push rods and the preload on the push rods, and I don't really want to go through all of that. So I've opted to not take the heads off, and I'm just going to do the valve springs, or the valve stem seals, and clean everything up in the process. So I'm using this here, super old, looks pretty good for its age, made in Taiwan, valve spring compressor. But on the first one I ran into, and I may run into it on this one again, yeah, the keepers are stuck in the retainer. So using this brass punch that looks just like a steel punch, because it's a steel punch, see if I can get that to drop it out of there. Yeah, I don't got as much. There's a lot of rope up behind the, excuse my fat head, there's a lot of rope up behind the intake valve, not so much, or the exhaust valve, not so much on the intake. But she's tight. I got quite a bit of the wiggles in there. There it is. So, and then the next problem that I ran into is everything's sticking together internally, but there's the keeper far away. Take a magnet. Go fishing. Take that off. I'm only decompressing it because I'm taking it to the parts washer and scrubbing everything up. And as we'll learn, it was all for nothing. I think I'm going to put a little lube on this. Little Blaster Max. Oh, much better. Oh, much better. I've had this spring compressor for probably 30 years. Alright, so then we got the valve stem seal. Well, this one's still in one piece at least. Well, I mean, one big piece. Oh, the edges are super sharp. I may have to cut that off of there. Well, it was in one piece. There we go. If you can't remove it, just break it. It is literally hard plastic. Alright, so I'm gonna get those parts cleaned up. I'll get all this cleaned up, and then I'll put the new valve stem seal on. I use a little assembly lube on there as I push it down on, and then I put it back together. So give me a minute to get those cleaned up. Alright, it should be noted too that I'm not cleaning these up to the point where I would if it was a fresh build. Man, this stuff is sticky. This is Permatex Ultra Slick assembly lube. Assembly lubes are always sticky. Permatex is really sticky. New cap. Roll it around a little bit just to get a little around the hole there. Push it down on. Alright, spring goes back on like so. One keeper. Two keepers. That's it. So I only got 14 more to go. So I'm gonna get these done, bring you back in for the next fun part. So today I started cleaning the valve train, and as you can see, before and after. Kidding, of course. Before and after. So I've had this one stewing over there in the parts washing tank for a couple of days. This one, when I disassembled it and drove the freeze plugs out of the end, it was just absolutely caked inside the rocker shaft with sludge. So now I'll get into doing that one. I like to introduce metal shavings into my engine parts as I'm cleaning them.
You thought so.
So there's a freeze plug in there.
Oh.
So to get it out,
You're pulling out.
look at,
Yeah.
that's how much crud
Holy crap.
is inside of there.
You're through.
It shouldn't be through. It should have pushed that
Freeze plug.
freeze plug off.
There it is.
Oh, it must have turned it.
Yeah, sideways.
It must have turned it sideways because it didn't knock a hole in it. Yeah, I had my hands in the solvent so much again yesterday that my skin was turning white and my hands were all tingly. There's the other one. I don't think that fits now.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it's disgusting is what it is. Yeah. Can you see down through there?
Yeah, I can see a mess
Yeah,
in there.
I don't know if the camera will get that shot, but all right, off to the parts tank I go. So whenever I hit a point in a project where I'm waiting on parts or whatever, sometimes I switch projects fully, but usually I just switch to a different piece of that same project. And in this case, I switched over to cleaning up the exhaust manifolds. Now they were pretty gnarly rusty. But a little time in the sandblast cabinet and they look like new. So, I mean, they're not perfect, but I am going to, big old lump in there. I am going to take a little time and clean them up just a touch more, and I am going to paint them. I was going to powder coat them, but I think I would rather just use the VHT paint as opposed to the high temperature powder coating. But this is where the fun kicks in, because these studs, this one, and I don't know how well you'll be able to see that, it's going to want to focus on my face. This one is a fine thread, this is a coarse thread. This is obviously shorter, it's been replaced. This side, they just look overall really, really bad. So I did get that off of there, which means that I needed a gasket to go in between there. So gasket, stud kit, and those came from National Parts Depot. Now, if you've never heard of National Parts Depot, they have quite a line on certain old cars, and there are 4 locations throughout the United States, and I am fortunate enough to have one just about 45 minutes from here and just down the road from where my youngest son takes guitar lessons. And so I was able to pop in there last night and pick these up. Their prices are actually pretty fantastic. Not like you'd expect from a specialty shop, but I got the studs and the gasket and I was out of there under 30 bucks. So that's pretty awesome to me. So now I'm going to take on the horrible, horrible, grueling task of getting these old studs out of here and the new studs put in. And if you've never done studs, mainly in an exhaust manifold, it's awful. It's awful. But we'll get it done. If you are curious about my current garage attire and why I'm not wearing my typical black shorts and gray t-shirt, I actually am wearing the gray t-shirt, but jeans and a sweatshirt because we have gotten some of the coldest weather that we've had in Florida in a long time. In fact, it is currently snowing in northern Florida. I did, on this on this heat riser valve, I did bust the butterfly out of there just to release some of the resistance. I didn't want to go too far with it because I don't want to end up with a hole in each side of that and a big leak. So it's seized. It was seized when I got it. I wouldn't use it anyway. I have zero faith that this is going to work like this. No, it's not. It's not budging at all. I can see down in there and it looks horrible. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the MAP gas torch, that guy, and I'm going to apply some heat to the actual manifold itself, trying to stay as much away from the stud as possible. And then once it's good and hot, I'll put some PB blaster on there because that heat will draw it in, and then maybe, just maybe, we can walk that stud out of there. Let's give her some heat. I don't think I got much gas left in this. I'm definitely going to bake these before I paint them the first time. I mean, they get baked after you paint them, but... Alright, I don't know how hot that is. I'll touch it and find out. I do need to get a infrared thermometer for out here. Yeah, it's hot enough to do that. So if you didn't know, PB Blaster will actually draw in due to the heat. Just be careful because it is somewhat flammable. Oh, I don't have much hope. So I am going to take this here pair of Tecton gripping pliers. And what's magnificent about these is they have a hole in the adjustment screw. I just use an Allen key. That allows me to give her some onions. Look at that, boys and girls. I was not expecting that. I was not expecting that at all. No, I'm not gonna just go ripping that thing out of there. I'm gonna do a little in and out and in and out. Wow. Thank you, Jesus. Well, Mark, there you go. I threw my wrench on the floor. I wasn't even angry. Nice. Now, I don't know what makes those locking studs. I don't know if I should run a thread cleaner in there. Well, Harbor Freight wants me to spend money. All right, I'm gonna try it without the PB, just to see. No, nothing. All right, I'm gonna give her some heat. Hope that's not too much heat for that exhaust manifold. Just like that. Oh, you tell me that stuff's not just freaking amazing. Fantastic. Now I have no idea how hot this is, so I put it over there on my other vise. So I will run a thread cleaner in there. I'm not positive that that's the right thread. I read that the threading is different on the short side as opposed to the long side. So that nut threads on there fine. And it does not thread onto there fine. Let me run this in through the thread checker. So that must be what makes this a locking thread. Well, in fact, and I don't know if it'll show up. But you can almost see that this side is smaller than this side. Hey, let's learn something together. Or I'll learn something and you sit at home and scream at your monitor that I'm an idiot for not knowing this. All right, so that looks to be 55. Let's get it just on the threads though. 55 1/28. That's also 55 1/28. Down in there is 3/8. Down in there is 47 1/28. So that's what it is. And again, I don't know how well you'll be able to see this, but like this thread is technically cut deeper. This one not so much. So then I don't know if I can run this thread chaser down in there without doing any damage. I don't want to mess it up. Yeah, I think I'm going to leave it alone. I don't think I'm going to press my luck. Wasn't that a game show? Press your luck. Is that the no whammy game show? I'm also not going to install these studs just yet. I'm going to install them after I paint. I will plug those holes with silicone plugs. But I'm not going to, wow, that heat is all the way down. I didn't think I made it that hot. But yeah, that way I don't have to worry about taping off the studs. I couldn't get a gasket for this. Apparently that's some special gasket. Alrighty, so now comes these guys. So I'm going to go back to the heat and the PB and we'll see what happens. Worked for the other side. I think the straw inside this can of PB fell down like out of the nozzle. I have to use it upside down. Good. So I don't really want to grab the stud just in case I can't get it out of there and I'm forced to use these. Alright, I'm going to give it more heat. You can see the PB like bubbling up out of the crevice there. The smell of burned PB. Oh, it's moving. It's just not moving very much. Nah, maybe I imagined it. Let's give it some more heat. PB's on fire. Thought I'd go ahead and put a little down in there too. I just hope that whoever put that stud in didn't do something stupid like re-tap that exhaust manifold for a different thread, being that it is a fine threaded stud. Oh, that one's coming right out. Oh yeah, that one's some regular pliers. You know, it looks like it's a coarse thread going down in there, so now you guys can't really see much from that angle, but I'm just taking out studs. Normally I make you look at my backside. So that is a coarse thread. Oh, should I just do it? Should I just lock the vice grips on there? It's gonna mess up them threads. It's gonna give me 0 options. Let me try it one more time with the wrench. I mean, nothing. I guess this is 2 more times with the wrench. All right, here we go. Well, I have done thoroughly messed them up now. I don't know how hot these nuts are, but I ain't gonna grab them. Don't grab hot nuts. The air coming out of that air compressor is really cold. Well, I think I'm gonna have to just keep heat cycling it and keep soaking it over the next little while I'm working on other things. So we will retire from this project for a little bit and we'll revisit it when that thing finally decides to come out. Well, I was finally able to get that stud out, and I didn't film me doing it because, well, I wasn't sure what was going to work, and I kept working on it and I kept working on it, and 14 days later, no, not really. So I finally decided, after multiple times of welding nuts on and shearing the stud off until it was almost just a nub, that I was going to have to drill it. So I began to drill it with my hand drill, and it was doing nothing. So then I tried to center punch it, and I don't know if you can see that, but it just completely rounded off the end of my punch because it had been hardened from the welding process. So I ground it down a bit until it was soft enough to where I could drill it, and then I just kept drilling it up and drilling it up and drilling it up until one side was really nice and thin. I then used a chisel and a hammer, this chisel right here, and I was able to fold it in on itself, which then allowed me to spin it out with pliers. Now, I will admit, 1, 2, 3, about 4 threads down, I did start to catch the threads in the side of the manifold, but there's still more than enough thread there for the new studs, so I'm not upset by that. When it came out, I was so thankful. I fell to my knees and I cried and I cried, and that's when the security guard threw us out.
And I fell on my knees and I cried, and that's when those security guards threw us out.
Oh wait, no, that's a different story. But no, I am quite thankful. I kept praying to let me get it out of there, and I finally got it out of there. So now I got to clean up all the oil and crud that I had sprayed all over that, and it's got metal shavings all down inside, but I'll get all that cleaned up, and then these will be ready to get some VHT paint put on them, and I can now spend my time shifting back over to the engine. I did visit the auto parts store yesterday and picked up a case of Fram oil because there's nothing better. Okay, I'm just kidding. It's actually brake clean. They had a coupon running to get 20% off of $100, so I bought 24 cans of brake clean because I had run out and I was starting to get twitchy without having any brake clean. And once again, I'm going to leave you hanging because of video length. I just don't want the video to run incredibly long. And again, the next episode is going to be a huge shift as far as what's happening with the Fairlane. And I don't want to give you any more spoilers. I already gave you spoilers in the last episode, so you'll just have to tune in to the next episode to find out what that shift is. Now, of course, that does bring up the point of making sure that you're subscribed and that you've clicked that little bell notification so that you don't miss an episode in the future. We are getting so close to Power Tour and I'm super excited. Not as excited as I am the fact that you guys stayed all the way until the end. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I truly mean that. But for now, I have a lot of work to do before Power Tour. As you get a little sneak peek, there's something going on. But I gotta get back to work. Got lots to do. So until next time, thanks for watching.